So you're out playing a round of golf, you got a great day going, and all of a sudden you're faced with kind of this awkward downhill lie. You don't know what to do, you scull it over the green, you scull it back, you make an 8, and what was going to be a great day all of a sudden just went disastrous. Well, I'm PGA teaching professional Todd Kolb, Director of Instruction for US Golf TV and the Todd Kolb Golf Academy, and get ready because I'm about to share with you how to hit this shot and eliminate that fear, and more importantly, keep that good day going. So when you're faced with that downhill lie, the first thing you got to understand is we've got to create a situation that negates the slope as much as possible. And that's really the key of what we're going to talk about here. Because I'm going to give you a couple thoughts on the setup. I'm also going to give you a couple thoughts on the motion. And then we're going to kind of tie it all together. And as always, you know, I love to hear different people's ideas. So be sure to leave a comment if you got this shot and maybe something that's worked for you, or maybe I say something you disagree with. You wouldn't be the first person to disagree with me. So don't be afraid to leave a comment. And as always, be sure to subscribe. So let's dive into the details here. So how are we going to negate this downhill slope? Well, the first thing I want you to do is you got to take your shoulders and you got to tilt them a little bit. So you want your shoulders to kind of match the slope. So if this would be my normal setup, I'm going to lower my lead shoulder a little bit so that my shoulders match that slope. Now, when you do that, I also want you to feel like you take your lead foot, you're going to take your toe, you're going to point it slightly down the slope. We're going to talk about why we're doing that in a little bit here. Towards the end, we're going to point that down a little bit. And I also want you to feel like you've got a little bit of pressure into your lead thigh. Now, what that's going to do for you is it's going to stabilize the motion a little bit, because balance can be difficult on a downhill slope. So in the setup, we've got the shoulders, we've got the toe pointed, we've got pressure into the lead thigh. The last thing you need to do with the setup is you got to move the ball back just slightly in the stance. Now, I like that because it helps clean up contact a little bit. I'm not a big fan, if you've watched any of my videos, hopefully you have, I'm not a big fan with moving the ball back when it comes to chipping, you know that. But in this situation, I think it's okay to move it back slightly. All right, so that's a little bit on the setup. Now, the motion, two things on the motion. Number one, this is important, okay? So listen to this. When you move the club away, be sure that the butt end of the club is moving. Don't give me a big wrist hinge. You give a big wrist hinge, you're asking for that skull shot we talked about earlier. So take the butt end of the club, push it away a little bit initially when you take the club away. That will help neutralize a lot of things and make the shot easier. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, because we've talked about the setup, we talked about kind of the takeaway, get the butt end going a little bit. The last one is really, this is kind of the key secret right here. This is the thing that's going to make this shot easier. So bear with me as we go through this, all right? So when you're coming through, make sure that the club head, as much as possible, goes down the slope line. So I want the club to match the angle of the slope. And that's the key, because when you do that, it basically kind of neutralizes the slope that the ball is sitting on. Now, do you remember what I said earlier about the lead foot? Okay, hopefully you were paying attention to that. Remember how we said the lead foot? We want to point that a little bit. Why? Well, because of this club head. When that's pointed a little bit, that allows me to kind of lean into the shot just a little bit, and allows me to keep the club moving down the slope line and negate that slope. So those are some of the key concepts. So what are we talking about? We're talking about you're out playing around a golf. You got this beautiful day, great round going. You get one lie and boom. The whole darn round is derailed because of that. Well, now you know how to hit this shot. So let's review. We're going to negate the slope, right? We're going to do that with our shoulders. We're going to do that with our left toe just a little bit, all right? And we're going to move the ball back just slightly. We got a little pressure into that lead thigh. In the motion, when we take it away, we're going to push the handle. That's key. Don't hinge it. I know a lot of you are here. You see that out there. We've had this conversation in some of our other videos. We've had this conversation about this hinging. Don't do that in this shot. And then last but not least, try to swing that club head down the slope line, and those things will all negate that shot. So that's going to help you. Hopefully you like that. If not, leave a comment, or if you like something, you've tried it out, we want to hear from you. And most importantly, we want to help you play better golf.